In today's show, the Blazers are mostly impressive in their preseason debut against the Warriors. Let's talk about everything we saw, from lineup choices to Shaden Sharpe's breakout. Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, world? It's your past first point guard and Trailblazers reporter, Mike Richmond. Listen to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube. Thanks for making the show your first listen, coming at you each and every weekday, Monday through Friday. So make it a part of your daily routine. Make it your first listen. Tell your friends to do the same. It's Locked On Blazers, your team every day. In today's show, we're going to talk about the Blazers' first game of the exhibition season, a preseason loss to the Golden State Warriors in San Francisco. I do not care about the score. I do not care about the Warriors' deep bench being significantly better than the Blazers' deep bench. And I do not care about the outcome, but I think the Blazers, when the regulars were on the court, played dang well. There was a lot to like about this one, albeit the fourth quarter got away from the Blazers with their two-way guys in the end of the bench in the game. If you are looking, typically, if you're a new listener, welcome. So happy to have you. If you're a longtime listener, you know that we do our fastest recap in the West, but we're only going to do that when the games count. No box score, no results in this one. I think the important things, like the important takeaways from preseason, are always structural. How did it work? What did they do? How did they do it? As opposed to like outcomes and results and things like that, albeit like the Blazers crumbling in the fourth quarter after building as many as a 17-point lead, as much as a 17-point lead with their starters in the game against the Warriors regulars, maybe took the wind out of their sails a little bit, but I still think a lot to like. Let's start with a couple of just big obvious things to like, and then we'll talk about, Chauncey Billups asked folks like me to not read into the starting lineup and the lineup decisions he made. I'm going to read into it. Sorry, Chauncey, I got to do it. We'll talk about that. I want to talk about Shaedon Sharpe and Kamara. I want to talk about general just how they looked, and then we'll talk a little bit about the newcomers, Blake Wesley and young Hansen. Let's talk Shaedon Sharpe, though. I think he was the Blazers' best player in this game. He just he's a good offensive player, right? Like he hadn't shot well from three, and he's had and he has some other, he's not a great passer or whatever, but like dude can score, and he showed it last year that he can score. He's a really good long mid-range shooter. He's very, very good around the rim. But I thought in this game against the Warriors, his pace and his comfort getting to where he wanted to go was really, really smooth. Warriors played their guys, like they played their vets about 20 minutes. They didn't really play anybody in the second half. Blazers played a little bit of some of their guys for some of the third quarter, but in those first two quarters, I mean, Sharpe was, I'm going to give you a number, even though I said wouldn't look at box score, 20 points in the first half. Like some of that is like he made threes, but even without the sort of the maybe punching above his weight 3-point shooting, just the comfort with which he gets into his shots. I thought he got to the rim pretty well. He had one drive to the rim that Jonathan Kuminga had a great block on, but I thought he got to the rim pretty well off the dribble. I thought he played smart in transition. Once scoring in transition, another time making a nice kick-out read in transition. I thought his pull-up game, getting to the mid-range, was really good. He hit some threes off step backs, off catch and shoots on drive and kicks. Like he just the comfort with which and confidence with which he played on offense was really, really good to see, because that's going to be his strength, right? Like the best version of Shaedon Sharpe, is maybe down the line is this like two-way force, right? But the best version of Shaedon Sharpe this season is a guy who can just flat out score the ball when you give it to him, right? Is an efficient high-end scorer. That this version of like this year's Shaedon Sharpe, the goal for him to get is like he can score from all three levels. You can throw him the ball when you need it. He can play in transition. He can play in the half court. Like he's the go get a bucket type of scorer they need. And I thought he looked like that in this game. I thought he was pretty competitive on defense. There weren't any bad moments I could specifically highlight. None of that made my notebook. But like, I thought he was pretty competitive on defense. Had a couple, defend Moses Moody on the wing physically type of plays, but like nothing really notable, but no bad moments. And I thought his offense just played with a ton of comfort, and you love to see it. I thought Tumani Kamara was really good. He, some of that is that Tumani made 4 3-pointers. He also committed for box score. Here's a box score one for you. This is incredible. He had 4 fouls in his first 13 minutes on the court, and they're just like, oh, let's let him play. That's 11 fouls per 36. I love it. I love it. He'd had, I guess, if you're rounding up, but at the time he was working on 11 fouls per 36. Truly beautiful stuff. We love to see it. But I thought Tumani, he shot it well. He just defends at a high level. He drew a charge. He guards, he was defending at, 85 feet from the rim. The physicality, the screen navigation stuff, like if Tumani is a high level shooter this season, he's going to be an excellent player. Like he doesn't even need to, they talked to Joe Cronin, and they mentioned on the broadcast as well tonight, but Joe Cronin and also the Blazers broadcasters have mentioned that Tumani's working on his ball handling, right? Joe said it. That's why they said it on the broadcast. But like, even if he doesn't like develop this like handle to get himself where he wants to go on the court and become a guy who shoots off the dribble, even if that self-creation stuff never happens, if he is like, he's good enough on defense that if he's just like a high volume, took 7 3-pointers in the first half, I am really creeping into the box score, y'all. We're just gonna, how about this? I'm gonna mention some numbers, but they're not important. But like, if he's a high volume, above average 3-point shooter, Tumani is going to be very, 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 very good without adding anything else to his game, right? Without sort of the major leaps or whatever. Just the simple like up the volume and continue to make 37.5% of your threes. He's a force because he plays well in transition, and the defense is basically a given at this point. He was really good. Denny Avdia came off the bench. More on that in a moment. But like Denny, I thought Denny just does what he does, right? Gets downhill, got himself to the free throw line a bunch of times just by being a physical downhill driver. We'll talk a bit more in the Blazers offense and that how it looked. My first impressions of that in the second segment, but like what you want Denny to be, even in a bench role in this preseason game, which is probably meaningless, but maybe extremely meaningful, like regardless of what it is, it's like Denny's game travels, and it was like, yeah, I'm ready. Give me the ball. I'm going to attack. I'm going to attack. He made a big off the dribble 3-pointer in this game, which was a big part of his growth at the end of last season. And that like really changes what he can be if he's an off the dribble 3-point shooter. And like the physicality, the willingness to get to the rim, that push in transition and semi-transition to have a willingness and a determination to get into the paint first and kind of make decisions after that. But that force he plays with was really on display. I thought he was good. And when you're like, those are probably the Blazers' 3 most important offensive players. Like I think it's Sharp and Denny, and then like Tumani as your like, can this dude space? And Tumani certainly checked that box tonight. If Denny plays like that and Sharp plays like that, like the Blazers offense is going to be, obviously it'll be a little bit different because you're going to play multiple halves of basketball in an NBA game, but like, I'm still thinking they're going to be a below average, if not straight up bad offensive team, particularly in the half court. But those two guys showed what it looks like when it's going to be good. And then you get some spacing. And it's just like, this wasn't a night where Drew shot well or Jeremy Grant shot particularly well. This was your sort of your 2 core guys doing what they do, and Tumani filling in the gaps at a really high level. And Tumani is a great, he's a glue guy. He fills in the gaps. That's what glue guys do, is they quite literally fill in the gaps. Maybe that's not quite literal, and that's how metaphors work. But those dudes made me feel so steady about where they are. Right, I felt like the Blazers played really well, and those dudes were the guys who were like, yeah, they know the plan. There's a comfort in knowing what they want to do with those gentlemen. Let's read into the lineup and talk what they looked like with the new offense and some early thoughts on their defense. We will do that in the second segment. Join me there. First, though, I want to tell you about Quo. It's one of the tools that's going to make a huge difference if you're a business owner. Quo, formerly known as OpenPhone. It is the same great business phone system you've heard me talk about in the past, but now it's just got a new name. And here's why it matters. Every missed call is money left on the table. When Every customer conversation counts. You need a phone system that keeps you connected 24/7. Quo is the #1 business phone system that streamlines customer communications. It works right on an app on your phone. It works on your computer. So there's no more carrying two phones around. There's no more relying on a landline. Instead, you've got a system that works for you. Quo, again, formerly known as Open Phone, lets you and your team share one number and collaborate on calls, collaborate on text. You've got a shared inbox, so no customer gets left hanging. So whether you are a solo operator or you're juggling, or you've got a small team that's trying to put it all together, Quo makes it easy to stay responsive and professional. See why over 90,000 businesses trust Quo, formerly Open Phone. Get started free and get 20% off your first 6 months. First 6 months at quo.com/lockedonnba. That's QUO.com/lockedonnba. And if you got existing numbers with another service, Quo will port them over at no extra charge. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. All right. So, I played some audio yesterday on the program where Chauncey Billups said, please, I know y'all have to, but I'm telling you, there's no reason to read into my starting lineups. I'm going to mix and match. I'm going to change things up. I'm going to try so many things. And then he drops out Drew Holiday, Shaedon Sharpe, Tumani Kamara, Jeremy Grant, Donovan Clingan with Denny Avdia coming off the bench. And I said, I'm reading into it. Yeah, I'm not, actually. I don't think this starting group meant anything specifically, but I do think we learned some things about who played. The Blazers played this game without Matisse Thybulle, who missed the game with what the Blazers called right knee soreness. That stinks, right? That Matisse is already having that his knee's hurting him, and he's having some other injury stuff. He had knee surgery early last year, and then he had a really bad ankle sprain that kept him out for missing a bunch of time. But the Blazers played 10 dudes in the first half. I'm not reading in the starting lineup yet. I am putting a very big star next to this, right? Like I'm putting this in a special part of my notebook that says, we will revisit how meaningful this was at a later date, like game 1 of the regular season. But what I will say is what we learned for sure is who the 10 guys are. Like Chauncey Billups has talked about what he's going to expand his rotation to play 10 or 11 guys. The 10 dudes that played in the first half, those are your players. Those are the guys who are part of the rotation. If there's one thing we for sure learned, we learned that. So it's your starters. That's Drew, that's Shea, that's Stu, that's Jeremy Grant, that's Donovan Clingan. Then off the bench, you got Denny Avdia, you got Young Hansen. That's 7. Duop Reith played in the first half. Chris Murray played in the first half. And Blake Wesley played in the first half. That's your 10. Apologies for those of you who are Ryan Rupert and Caleb Love, or I guess condolences to Ryan Rupert and Caleb Love fans. Those dudes aren't part of the rotation. And when Tease gets back, he's on that edge of 10 or 11. And I imagine they either play 11 guys or choose between Tease and Chris Murray each night. A couple things real quick on lineup stuff, and then I'll talk about the offense. Chauncey Billups played 3 centers in the first quarter. Donovan Clingan started, Young Hansen came off the bench, and then Duop Reith eventually got into the game. That could be a real thing. Because that is a way you limit some minutes. It could be a real thing even when Rob Williams is healthy. Keep it fresh. Keep the center rotation somewhat fresh. Don't overextend Hansen early in his career and play okay, we need you to play 7 straight minutes no matter how bad it's going for you, right? Kind of limit his struggles if he is indeed struggling, and if he's playing well, you leave him in there and you don't play that third center. But Reith just gives him another look. He's small and doesn't protect the rim, but he's a shooting big that they don't otherwise have. The other thing is they closed the second quarter they closed the first half against Golden State. Specifically, when Golden State went to Draymond Green at center, the Blazers closed with Blake Wesley, Drew Holiday, Shaedon Sharpe, Denny Avdia, and Jeremy Grant on the floor, a small ball look. So we saw kind of the Blazers trot out a couple different things. I do think they will play small some. I do not think it'll be every night thing. I don't even know if it'll be every week thing, but I think we'll see a little bit of it sprinkled in throughout depending on matchups. Against Golden State, this was a matchup that allowed them to do it. I would say notably playing 3 guards and 2 forwards, even small all the way around, as opposed to play big, but not with a traditional center, right? Play 4 forwards and a point guard, and 4 forwards and Drew Holiday, but not a traditional center. This was a true small ball lineup. 3 guards, Denny and JG. Just notable. Okay. We also saw a little bit of the new offense. I thought it looked pretty good. I liked the pace they played with. There were moments very early in the game where they tried to get into that early take advantage offense stuff. And sometimes they hit ahead, get an advantage, drive into the paint, kick out wide open three. They generate a couple wide open threes just on pushing. The first two defensive rebounds of the game were grab and go boards. Shaedon Sharpe grabs a rebound. He just turns and goes. Jeremy Grant grabs a rebound. He just turns and goes. I like that. You don't need to look back for Drew Holiday and set stuff up. Just go, push. You have everybody is about the same level of distributor, which is below average. So just push and play, and play to advantage. Use your athleticism as opposed to trying to set up traditional stuff. I like that they got into early offense. I thought they got advantage by playing with pace. I also think a couple times when they tried to push with pace and got stopped, no early advantage. A couple times they got spread out with five guys kind of just standing and looking and not getting into a quick flow. And they had some bad kind of okay, just try to score type possessions. And I think that'll come with better feel, right? Okay, our first opportunity didn't work. What can we what actions can we flow into, as opposed to just being okay, you drive and shoot a pull-up jump shot, Jeremy. But also Jeremy Grant and Shaden Sharp want to drive and take pull-up jump shots. So maybe you guys just play the way they play because it's basketball and guys just play the way they play. Early though, they ran a set a couple times. It was it had a bunch of action. It involved first. The big man, Donovan Clingan, setting a down screen for effectively the 4, which is Tumani Kamara. He goes out to the wing and kind of pretends like he's going to set a little screen for Shaden Sharp on the right wing, but he doesn't set it. He sets a quick ghost screen and flies through to the corner and then cuts out. And then that big man who just set that screen to spring the first action for Tumani sets a flare screen for Drew Holiday, who goes to the opposite wing, the left-hand side. I love that action. They only ran it twice. They might have run it 3 times, but twice by my count. You can't just spam the same stuff all the time, and they weren't making a ton of contact on their screens. But I thought the movement when they were intentional about running an action looks really good early, and then I thought they just got better and more comfortable into their stuff. Also, one thing that was very notable early in the game, they ran almost no high pick and roll during Donovan Clingan's first shift. They ran almost no high pick and roll actions. Almost none. When they got deeper into the rotation with Hansen and when Denny got on the floor, they ran some pick and roll. They ran some pick and roll with Duop Reith on there, but on the court. And then when Clingan came back for his second shift, he also ended up running some pick and roll stuff, and they ran it late in the second half as well. Clingan had a mean screen on pods and got called for a offensive foul in the third quarter. But they kind of started the game with very little pick and roll, a lot of sort of drive kick, drive pitch actions. Even on low movement, low pass sets, still not a lot of pick and roll. Spread, drive, kick, move off those kicks. I think that's notable and a big difference than just come set a screen 30 feet from the rim and let's see what we can do type of thing. I don't know if that'll stick, right? Because pick and roll is just part of basketball, and even actions that are start with dribble handoffs and flowing and running, getting guys to lift up from the corners and get into all these little, blenders type of movements. They're still often going to flow into things that are pick and rolls on the side or at the top of the key, one way or another. So I don't think it will be something we see zero of, but I thought it was notable that we saw very little of it early, and particularly because early in the game is more scripted offense before you just kind of get playing, before you play and before the defense kind of knows what we want to do and get into it. Blazers defense, just quickly, I don't think this was a really notable defensive game because I first of all, I think they're a good defensive team, but all of the things you want to see on defense, where did they pick up? Everybody but the center picked up often in the backcourt. They're a backcourt team. Sometimes, particularly Blake Wesley on the court, they're picking up at 93.5, 94 feet, right? At the baseline, the far baseline, and defending. I think only once did they get caught out of position on the press. I think on the broadcast they said it was a good job. I thought it was a bad possession because I think they allowed the Warriors to kind of get into a little bit of an advantage with a hit ahead to Quentin Post. Yeah, I think the defense was solid. I don't think it was excellent, but I think it was solid. And the offense was good enough and impressive enough, and some of it is shot making, but I thought the flow of it was pretty good too. I thought the pace they played with was pretty good, even if they did make something like 44% of their threes in the first half and took 28 3-pointers in the first half, box score, and that's a lot. They were getting up a lot of outside shots, right, on pace for 56, I don't really have a problem with the volume because I think the way they were generating them was pretty good. And you need to shoot threes in the modern NBA. It's just how it works. Okay, first impressions. I want to talk Blake Wesley and Young Hansen to close the show. Join me in that third segment. We will do just that. First, though, I want to tell you about PrizePicks. The NFL season is here, and PrizePicks wants to make sure that you don't miss the excitement during football season, because with PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Playing PrizePicks is fun. It's a simple way to add more excitement to football. You just pick more or less on player projections, like, say, Josh Allen's passing yards or Saquon Barkley rushing touchdowns, and you're in the game. You can make your selections really quickly. You can set your lineup in under a minute. Plus, they've just added stacks. So if you want to ride with a player, you can select pass yards, rushing yards, touchdowns, all in one lineup for one single player. Stack them up. It's also fun to follow players in the app, and you can say, hey, I like that lineup, and then you can copy a lineup that you like that someone else has set with just one click. So download the PrizePicks app today and use the code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Still the pass, first point guard. I'm still Mike Richmond. You're still listening to Locked On Blazers. Newcomers, first impressions for the new Blazers. Like I said, the 10 dudes that played in the first half, those are your 10 dudes plus Thibault to some extent. Like, it's going to be a choice between Thibault and Murray would be my guess, depending on, they're just like different sizes and different skill sets. I would assume a healthy Thibault is ahead of Murray in the pecking order, but Chauncey Billups really likes Chris Murray, so maybe he'll be up there, and that'll be the choice. But Blake Wesley's going to play. I think it is just undeniable he's going to play. With Scoot Henderson out and the Blazers light on sort of primary creator types, Chauncey Billups said in interviews with Blazers media or with the assembled reporters during training camp that he thinks it's important to play like a true point guard. Like he said, oh, Shaden can handle it and Denny can handle it, but like, he's more comfortable putting a true point guard in there because he thinks it just feels different. Like, he wants to play a second point guard, and Blake Wesley is very clearly a second point guard. He plays fast. He's a very, very pesky defender. I thought he was really competitive guarding Steph. You could tell he has defense isn't all about effort, but there is a requisite level of effort required to be a good defender, and Wesley far exceeds the requisite level. He has a great deal of what the coaches would call want to. He's got his want to is very high on defense. He wants to guard, and that's fun, right? Because he's competitive. He kind of fits the Blazers' MO in that way, their ethos in that way. It's like they want dudes who can't really shoot and can really defend. That's like, who do the Blazers look for in the open market? Are you a defender who has a streaky record of shooting? Welcome to, no, I'm not kidding at all. That's like literally who they've targeted. But the Blazers shot very well in this game, and perhaps they're going to become this great developmental shooting team, and I will eat crow. I'm not even going to eat crow. It's all a joke. But in any case, Wesley defends, and you see that right away. His willingness to guard and his enthusiasm for guarding and playing physical defense is really high and really impressive. He played well in that regard. He played pretty well pushing the pace on offense. I like that he dribbled with force to the rim, to the paint, made some kick out plays on those dribbles. I'm not 100% sure what else he's going to do in the half court. I don't think he didn't look like in this very, very limited, I don't remember like moments of him being on the ball ever with the Spurs. I literally don't remember them. So this is, maybe I'll try to pull up some Blake Wesley pick and roll stuff and see what I can see. But I would say for this game, He didn't wow me with any passing or decision making. He passed up a wide open corner three to take a drive into the paint and a shot he made from 2, but that's like a wide open corner three in the NBA. That's a shot guards take. That's a shot guards take. Yeah, I'm a little worried about what he brings to the team. I'm worried is the wrong word. I don't think he's going to be a positively impactful player in the half court offense, but we shall see. But I do think he kind of fits. Play really fast, defend at a high level, though. Like the plan, Wesley fits into the plan pretty well. So maybe as he gets his comfort, his like sort of natural fit with his other skills will make it all work out. Because like the defense and the athleticism and the speed are there. Hansen, he looked like a 20-year-old rookie. Young Hansen looked like a 20-year-old rookie. He struggled. I don't think there's any way to put it to dress it up. He had a rough debut. Early turnover, transition defense in the first half where it's like he just didn't, his first 3 steps weren't sprinting back, and all of a sudden Al Horford is gone and young Hansen is just way behind the play. Committed a foul going for a rebound, like getting tied up early on for a rebound. I thought that was notable. He didn't score until the second half when kind of the regulars were off the court. I think against other NBA dudes, like rotation level players, he looked rough. I don't think that really matters necessarily in the grand scheme of the young Hansen trajectory, right? His first game in the preseason on the road against a veteran Warriors team, he looked bad. I do not think this will be a notable moment during his career. He looked like a very believably like a rookie figuring it out. I would say the only thing that's like, if you're kind of extrapolating, is like, if the Blazers think they're going to be really good, Hansen does look like a player that is far away. He looks like a developmental player. That's fine and normal. He's a rookie, right? He is very specifically a developmental player. But if they're like trying to win at a high level, the center depth could be something that comes up because depending on Rob Williams' availability, you just don't want to put too much on Hansen's plate because I think he looks like it's going to take him a minute to get his sea legs, and that is very believable considering his age and the jump he's making and all of those things. And also we're one game, a few minutes into his NBA journey, right? He can improve a lot. Guys his age and his experience level generally take big jumps, right? So there could be major growth in his game this season, right? He's the type of player and the level of player that should improve with. If he were to improve, it could be someone who improves rapidly, right? So we shall see. But I would say the first little Hansen experience was rough. I have no way to dress that one up. He did not look very good. And at the end of the game when he's on the court again, he didn't. It's like not like he dominated when he got sort of lower level end of the Warriors bench type of things. They're still kind of like fringy NBA guys and like fringy rotation guys in the league. They're all NBA players, I think, pretty much, who were on the court at the end that he was up against, at least with like Quentin Post. It's just I thought he was rough. We'll see what he continues to do. Obviously, like. He's young. He's a rookie. It's not surprising or anything. This is kind of what you would expect, right? For young players is to look like, oh yeah, hey, this is a higher level of competition. But I would say undeniably, young Hansen looked like a dude. Oh yeah, this is a higher level of competition. He will have to sort of figure that out. Blazers play Friday. They play a home preseason game Friday. I am excited to see it back in the building. Be up close and personal to get a feel for kind of what it's all looking like as they continue to move forward. Hopefully we get another big chunk of the regulars playing, so we can read into who plays and when and all of those things. I'll have you covered for that game. Also, a Friday show heading into that game. Connor Bergen of Blazers Edge is going to join the program, and we're going to talk Blazers X Factor. Who's the X Factor or X Factors on this team that could potentially change this team's trajectory if they really hit? We will weigh in with our opinions on those. You're not going to want to miss it. You're not going to want to miss any of these. 5 days a week, wherever you get podcasts, also on YouTube. I appreciate you listening. I'll talk to you soon.